Alright, hey everybody, I'm back. Yeah, kind of odd. Jeff's making 3 videos in 1 week. Well, anyway, a lot of stuff came in this week, as I had mentioned before, and yet more is coming. So good news, good news, good news. If you watched the last 2 videos, I mentioned how I had a package that was lost in the mail. For those of you who get stuff from Rocks Records and stuff, and some of you have already shown it, the most recent No Life Till Metal and Rocks Records releases came out a couple weeks ago. Included the Helix, the new Helix Old School on vinyl, the new reissue of the old Mass album on vinyl, and the other album on vinyl. Holy moly. Red Sea. Boom! Red Sea. Lost it for a second there. Anyway, I was one of the ones that pre-ordered it, one of the early packages. What was it, like 100 packages? It was all the stuff. It was the vinyls and the CDs and all that. And it was shipped. Everything was shipped. But for the longest time, mine was just listed as still being in LA, that it never left Los Angeles. Was supposed to be here on the 24th, never got here. Anyway, I let Bill know from Rocks Records, and he said we'd give it a couple more days and they would resend it if need be. Well, a couple days ago, maybe 2 days ago, I went on the USPS site and signed up to receive any text announcements whenever anything happened with it, any changes in the status. I just figured, hey, even in the future, if he sends me another one and something changes with this, I want to be alerted immediately. But anyway, so I put that in, set it up on my phone so that I would get a text message if anything changed. Last night at 10:30, boom, I got a message saying the package arrived in Washington, D.C. So it mysteriously disappeared on the 22nd. It never was said anything about it again. It was just, it's still in transit, shipped on the 18th. Never changed statuses since the 22nd. And then all of a sudden last night it's in D.C. As of today, it's in a little different area of Maryland. So all I am expecting at this point is it should be here tomorrow. I'm assuming it should be here tomorrow. I mean, D.C. and Maryland, 4 hours away. Anyway, but regardless, a couple other things came in. So one of the other packages I thought it may have come in one of the last videos made it here day before yesterday, and then another package made it in yesterday. So I'm calling this one something old, some things old, some things new, because some of the stuff is new releases and some of the stuff are old releases. So anyway, let's start with the old. I got these from Groove. Why am I forgetting Trog's site there? Stone Groove Records. He had a bunch of his used vinyl was on sale. And so I bought a bunch of it the other day. And here is what we got. We got Accept, Restless and Wild. I would have to say probably still my go-to Accept record. This and Balls to the Wall. But this one is probably still a little edges up. I don't know. This is just a fantastic album. Balls to the Wall is a fantastic album too. But this is where I think this is probably about the time where I either just really got into them or really kind of almost discovered them. But this album, back to just start to finish, love everything about it. I mean, it to me is pretty much the perfect Accept album, and Balls to the Wall is real close. Anyway, I'm glad to have this on vinyl, so great. I'm gonna give this a clean, and then I'll give it a spin. I saw somebody who was the other day, Zach Blabbeth did his Accept collection. I thought that's funny timing because I just got that in. All right, finally found a place to start building some of my Y&T collection. Got In Rock We Trust. I love this album. This came out, I remember this coming out right around the time I was in the military or just went in the military. And I remember you know, the first couple weeks in basic training, you don't have anything, they don't give you anything, you're not allowed to, you don't have anything personal, but they make somebody stay up all night basically to watch the dorms, and so you have to pull this duty. And I remember pulling this duty, and the TI training instructor is gone. This would have been a couple weeks later because he's there the first couple nights. Training instructor is gone. He gets to go home. We're in the dorms by ourselves, and you have to have somebody in charge. So they assign somebody to stay up all night just to pay attention to things. And so I remember going into the TI's office late at night. Everybody's asleep, and he had a little clock radio on his thing. I remember turning it on because I'm in Texas now, and I'd heard rumors of this awesome rock station in Texas. Can't remember the name now, but I remember tuning into it and hearing a track from this on the radio. It was just so thrilling. Anyway, love this album. Love this album. Was saddened to find. Well, okay, let me do this one first. Mean Streak. This is. I'm almost sure. No. This is real close about the time I discovered them, but I'm pretty sure it was on Black Tiger, and then I got this. They blur together, Black Tiger and Mean Streak, and it's really they blur together because of the artwork. Very similar, very awesome. This is probably still one of my favorite albums. So was thrilled to get this on vinyl. Now, Black Tiger was on the original list. Me, like a dummy, I waited over the weekend, waited a couple days before I placed my order. By the time I got around to ordering them from him, somebody else had scooped up Black Tiger. So that has to be rectified. I have to get a copy of that so that I can have those couple albums in a row. And then I got Yesterday and Today, one of their early albums. This is kind of cool. I have this on CD, so this is just a blast from the past. This is one I didn't get till years later after getting into the Y&T and stuff. So just thrilled to find a copy of this, and would like to find their other release from the Yesterday and Today days. So Yesterday and Today, I need the other album, and I need Black Tiger, and the early stuff is going to be kind of covered. All right, then found a bunch of Sammy Hagar that I like. Danger Zone, probably one of my top 3 Sammy Hagar albums of the early Sammy Hagar solo stuff before the Van Halen years. I love this album. Songs like 20th Century Man, Miles from Boredom. I mean, these songs are just Bad Reputation, Love or Money. I mean, this album just, I love this album, and so I want to get this cleaned up so I can give it a spin. I'm a big Sammy Hagar fan. I'm a big Sammy Hagar solo fan. I like Van Halen when he was in it, but I like Sammy Hagar solo better. And I like his pre-Van Halen solo stuff. I don't know, that's just probably nostalgic. I really love that stuff. His post-Van Halen solo stuff, I have it all. I look at Sammy as almost like I feel like it's just like I've grown up listening to his stuff. It's like he's a brother or a member of the family. I feel like if I met him, it would just feel like, hey, we're related. He reminds me of my brother. I have to honestly say, he kind of reminds me of my older brother. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sammy Hagar, All Night. Yeah, what is that? All Night Long. Yeah, I was about to say. I thought for a second there. Cool live album from back in the day. Just, this is the stuff that I grew up listening to and just love it. So I was glad to get this. And then I also grabbed his second album, right? Yeah. Usually it's just called Sammy Hagar. Most people call it the Red album because, hey, it's got red all over it. Everything about it is red. And of course, this is the album that has the song Red. So you got all kinds of great on here. Red, Cruising and Boozing, Free Money, Rock and Roll Weekend. I mean, come on, Fillmore Shuffle. This album from start to finish is just classic. If you're listening to the early classic stuff. Things I think for Sammy changed, at least in the way I view things, around the time of Standing Hampton, because he had heavy metal. The heavy metal, was on that movie, and that Standing Hampton album, and maybe that was one of the first ones he had that was on a different label. But everything, it's like it kicked into a different gear. So everything prior to Standing Hampton is what I call classic Sammy Hagar, and it's a different feel. I love pretty much all of it. Standing Hampton on through I Never Said Goodbye. The one before Van Halen, right after Van Halen, that's all a little more. It's more of his popular phase. You had Standing Hampton. You have Three Lock Box. My favorite album. Just same in that time frame. That's my favorite album. You had VOA. Just another amazing album. Anyway, so the early phase is pre-Standing Hampton record label stuff, and that's just like good classic hard rock. Standing Hampton on into where he was stopped doing solo albums is a little more commercial. That's the stuff they were playing on the radio more, and it's just, I don't know, it's all top notch. What can I say? I'm gonna stop ranting and raving about Sammy Hagar. Sammy, if you're out there listening, if you ever come into town, I know he's got family here in Virginia, please look me up, or please let me know. I'd love to have go out and grab a bite with you. Raven, All for One. This is where I got started with Raven. Bought this in the record store as a kid in the import section. Knew nothing about the band. Bought this album. Honestly, didn't really like it. I didn't like his vocal style. But over the years, I've kept it on CD and stuff. And I'm not a huge Raven fan, but I saw this one and I had to have it. It was the first one I ever bought back in the day. Digitally now I have all their tracks, but I have this on vinyl and I have the live album. And this is, like I say, still kind of the one that I cut my teeth on, and that I probably know the best of their stuff. So was glad to get this. It's on the Bonsai label, which I guess is a Canadian import. Anyway, this one's in really good condition. Some of these albums, they were low cost, but some of them really need to be cleaned up. Some of them have probably a couple more marks on them than if I saw them in the wild, depending on the price. Some of them had some rough spots on them that I may have just turned away from. It'd be hard though, because all of these albums have to be in my collection. And so if I did find one in the wild, I'd have to say, if they were more expensive than what I paid for them, and some of them in the condition they were in, I probably wouldn't have bought them. But at the price these were at, I could not pass them up. Here's another one, Saxon, Power and the Glory. Now I would have to say, I seem like I'm a huge fan of everything I like. I'm a huge Saxon fan. I don't know if I've ever shown my Saxon collection. I don't think I have. Have a stack of CDs just this high. Everything they've put out, I could get my hands on. Aside from all the different best of collections and stuff like that, but every one of their regular studio albums I have. Back in the day, now I discovered Saxon on the Denim and Leather album, which was before this, and still probably the height of my love for Saxon. That's probably, in my opinion, just a perfect album. When this came out, I didn't like it in the beginning. When Crusader came out, I loved it, and this is like sandwiched in between there. This album for me never really got much attention or affection, because something about this back in the day, I don't know, it just didn't sit with me. Now of course over the years, as I grew to love Saxon more and more, this became necessary. But still, I don't know, there's that little piece in the back of my mind that this is not the one that I listen to as much. I would gloss past it, whatever. But I love all Saxon, but for some reason that one just wasn't always there for me. Alright, this next one I also got from Stone Groove, but this is brand new. So now we're leaving the something old and we're going into the something new. This is Rose. This is Songs for the Ritually Abused. I bought this on CD as a crowdfunder. It's the one on the kind of pinkish vinyl. And I've had this on my radar for a while. It was the same price as everybody's selling it, so I said, I'm buying all this stuff, throw it in, save some shipping. So I got this. Rose, Randy Rose, part of Mad at the World, which is a Christian band. This is a Christian album. This is very alternative feeling. Lyrics are it's all about ritually abused. It's very dark and at times painful. Musically, it comes across at times with the kind of a Queen flair to it. It's all over the place, but harmonies and things like that at times remind me of Queen. So I had to grab that because I wanted to make sure I had that in my collection. Now, then yesterday I got a package in from Girder Music. Now, I don't know how many people, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about Girder Music, but it's along the same lines. Another one of the Christian label type things. You got Rocks Records, Retroactive Records, Girder Music. So those are the three big names in Christian reissues and Christian music places out there. Anyway, Cleanse Soul, Slave to the Flesh. Grabbed this from Girder Music. They had a CD by this band too. Dummy me, I listened to tracks online. I thought these guys sound good, but I never did buy the CD, and now they're out of it. And I'm asking them if they're going to get any more, but I haven't got a reply as to whether they will. But they've had this single. It's on every album. Everyone's a different color, so it's on a interesting, greenish Oh, it's actually brown on that side. Look at that. It's kind of green on this side. I guess I did notice that, but it's, I don't know, interesting. I just put this on a few minutes ago. It's a single. It's got one song on each, and I put it on. Slave to the Flesh is just a good bluesy hard rock song, and then Rain is a little more mellow, but they both sounded great. The tracks I heard online for the CD, which came after this, were you know, a little bit. They were good. It's all kind of a bluesy hard rock. So I really dug that. That 7-inch is cool. I grabbed this. The reason I grabbed all this stuff from Girder's because I was able to get my hands on a coupon for like 30% off. So I grabbed some things that were a little pricier that I wanted to go ahead and grab at the discount. Gnarnia being one of them. This is their 2016 album. They have a new album that is coming out like this week. I have the digital tracks already that I downloaded for review. But this is their last album. Kind of a return because prior to this, the album prior to that had a different singer. This is the return of Christian, the original singer for all the early Gnarnia. He left. They got a new singer. He did the one album, which is fantastic. Then he left, and Christian came back, and so we got this. This was the new Gnarnia for 2016, and they have another new one coming out soon. So this is it's nice. It's a gate. It's a single disc, but it is it's a gatefold. Got a cool picture of the band there. You can see without all the glare. So that was good to have. Let's see. And then the rest of this is CDs. So we're leaving the vinyl world and we're looking at new CDs. This is XT. I just realized the name of the band is not, it's in the background, I guess. XT Revived. XT, Swedish band. They date back into the 90s and stuff. Bjorn Stixon, the guitar player, is the guitar player for Leviticus, all the Leviticus releases. Sonny Larsson was the singer for Motherload and has sung for some other bands, but him and Bjorn got together and did XT back in the day, and they released like 3 albums. And then they released an album a couple years ago, which I think I showed on vinyl not too long ago because I finally got a vinyl copy. This is their newest, just came out this year. It's called Revived, Standing for Jesus Christ, and really what this is, and I forgot what it was until I started listening to it, is a re-recording of old tracks from the first 3 albums. So it is, and it's cool. I mean, I listened to it and I thought it doesn't sound a whole lot different from the first 3 albums, but I'm sure if I did it side by side it would. Anyway, it's all the great songs from the first 3 albums redone with the modern band, the different band and everything. So I enjoyed that. I was listening to that last night. The next one is Angelica. Now Angelica, Girder Music put out 3, the Legends of Rock series. This is their demos, and it consists of 2 demo tapes, a 5-song and a later 4-song that was shopped to the record label to get them signed to a 5-album deal. There is another 5 demo tracks out that came out earlier than this, which, you know, honestly, in my opinion, are better. I like those songs better. Maybe it's because I listened to them more, but for some reason, Dennis Cameron they weren't able to be put on here. But it's cool. Remastered everything. It's the Angelica demo, and then they got demo years, and then they got signed, and they put out their first album, which is still, in my opinion, high watermark for them. In my opinion, a great, solid, hard rockin' 80s metal type album. Rob Rock was pulled in because they're from Canada, and their singer, I don't know the whole story, couldn't be here, couldn't get across the border, was on vacation or something, couldn't make it to the recording. They pulled in this little unknown guy named Rob Rock, who had previously only done some stuff with this guy named Chris Impellitteri, but he had also been on the Project Driver, which was kind of a super group. I know I've talked about all this before. Rob Rock was like the unknown in that band because you had Tony McAlpine, Tommy Aldridge, and Rudy Sarzo, and then this singer named Rob Rock. Anyway, Rob Rock has went on to become the golden voice of melodic metal. Everything he touches, Impellitteri, everything. I'm a Rob Rock fan. Having this back in the day when I heard this, I'm like, Rob Rock, haven't heard of him before. He's the guy from Driver, right? Wait a minute, didn't he do on that first Impellitteri? I didn't know he was a Christian. Didn't know if he was. The lyrics, are there, but later he did, he said, oh yeah, I am. Ken Tamplin sings one of the songs. He produced it. He's the one that got Rob Rock to come in. And so Ken Tamplin's a big, just amazing powerhouse vocalist too. Great album. Great to see it remastered. Second album, the same. Great remastered. This is a different singer. Walking in Faith. Just an amazing album. I've loved this album since day one. And these are probably my two favorite Angelica. Actually, I like, yeah, okay, almost everything they did. Their last album was a little different. And it never took off with me quite as much. But all their stuff is great. It's melodic metal from the 80s. You got to get it. And speaking of Ken Tamplin, I picked up the 2 reissues of Shout. Just great melodic, scorching guitars, harmonies, vocals. If you haven't heard these, go online and do a Google search for a YouTube search for Shout and check out some of their stuff. Just amazing stuff. And this has just been boosted and remastered. This one the most. This one had that thin, tinny 80s sound. It's really been beefed up. The bass has been brought up. Everything's been just chunked out. This sounds, you know, a little better, but it's not as drastic because this album just suffered from, their initial album suffered a little from just the production of the day. So anyway, great to have these. Great to see that Girder is putting out some, just bringing back some amazing stuff. And then I grabbed this because I've been wanting to get this. No Other God, Nog. Bass, and this is a Rocks record release. But I grabbed it again because of the discount and everything. But this has Dale Thompson on vocals from Bride. And Dale's done some vocals for a bunch of different bands, recording for some bands recently. And I gotta say, this is my favorite that he's done recently. Some of the other ones he's done, his vocals are great, but musically haven't grabbed me like they could. Anyway, so this is another one of those things. I believe the band is from somewhere else, and then they just record it long distance. But this is Dale Thompson at part of his really pretty much at his finest in recent years. So anyway, that is it. I'm hoping tomorrow I will get the Rocks thing, and I'll probably do a video the next day or so. But that's all for now. That's some things old and some things new, and this video is going on a lot longer than I wanted. But hey, I had a lot of stuff I had to get rid of. Thanks for watching. Keep on rocking. See you later.